Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this chilly morning. We appreciate your viewership and welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. Listen, we're looking at some cold weather, but we'll get started with it, brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, Drew Pollard and hard-working crew. We're looking at a high of around 58 and a low, got a tickle there. I've seen 3 or 4 different lows. We're looking at a low of anywhere from 29 to 32 in different areas here in the Florida Panhandle. Our water temperature brought to us by Maranta Marketing. It's up to, actually went up a degree. It's at 74 degrees now, so I'm sure it's going to chill back out, but our northwest wind has been strong. River readings brought to us by the good folks at Panama City Coca-Cola. Take a look at the Appalachian scale of Bluntstown. It is 1.5, and the Choctaw Caraville is a 1.3. Both of them mighty low this morning. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Today is Happy Veterans Day. Today is Veterans Day. Let's cover that first. I want to thank all of you veterans who have served in the armed forces, and we appreciate everything you have done. We have veterans all throughout our family, and we appreciate the sacrifices y'all have made. So happy Veterans Day to all of you, and we will honor you today. We're looking at our tide chart, high at 12:53 this morning, and a low after lunch at about 12:46, so it's dropping out. Our marine forecast be northwest at about 15 to 25. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. You know, the weather changing and everybody thinks the fishing is going to shut off, but man, it really picks up, especially for bass fishermen, and a lot of tournaments are being held throughout, but I'm really proud of this one right here. This is it's going to be called the Deer Point Lake Winter Drawdown Tournaments, and it goes on to say the $100 interest, and it give you all, you know, the basic setup, 100% payback, and it goes on to, but the dates actually once a month, starting November 22nd, and then you see November, December, January, February, and March. So one a month for the next 5 months, you're going to be at a Cherokee Landing. And what's cool about it, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, where the top line up there, contact Trey Groom. Okay, Trey Groom is the one that's running Trey. Yes, he is Ronnie Groom's grandson. So I'm so glad to see this tradition continue of being outdoors people in your family, and good job, Trey, and y'all participate in that, or that'll be a lot of fun right there. So Deer Point Lake, the Winter Drawdown. So I like that name, the tournaments. All right, move on. I'm gonna get Jerry Forehand to come on tomorrow, so we're gonna go through these catches. But he's caught some fine fish, and he comes on because he goes fishing 2 or 3 days a week, and you see the results he and his friends have. We'll talk more about in detail about these tomorrow. But I fished with him. He's a fine fisherman. Jack Nichols, he said, hey Winston, coming at you from Tate's Hell. Beautiful here. This was last week, and before the weather. Tate's Hell is a very special place, and I'm so glad that y'all got to go down there and see it, Jack, and we'll talk more about it. Okay, Steve Shea. When Steve said, he has a bunch of photos for next show, but I'm going to show this one on. When Steve Shea says, that first sentence, biggest 8-point I've ever killed. Now, when he says something like that, that's pretty strong, because he's hunted his whole life. The main frame, 8 gross to 154, so it gives all the size, 5 kicker points. The gross score, 161 and 7/8. So that is a fine one right there. And he's going to come on. Here's a good picture of it right there with his crossbow. Isn't that amazing? The archery hunt with a crossbow and a sight, a telescope. That's something. We've talked about this. If you get a chance to volunteer, this is already passed. They just had this in White City. But just touch base with me if you can volunteer any boat from 15 foot to 24 foot. And it would really help out. Some of these kids just don't have any boats. They want to learn how to fish, and a lot of them are fishing with other boys that have boats, but a lot of them don't have boats. And it'd just be a lot of fun. You don't have to do it often, just a few times. This is just a flashback from the storm in 2018. This is November 4th. I got this last week. I joked about it because we were all trying to be in a good mood. I was talking about taking Gail's clothes dryer down. We had an old rope strung across there because we didn't have the power, and we strung it, we finally got some power, 10 days later maybe, but anyway, that was a good day, so I took it down. But I wanted to point this out to you. I sent this picture to some people, and one of my former basketball players lives way up in North Georgia. She said, Coach Chester, do you realize that broken tree in the background forms a cross laying down? And she's a very strong Christian girl, and that's the first thing she saw as the hope we have. And he's coming laying down sideways. I'd never had noticed that until she brought it up. So this picture will always be special to me, and for many reasons. But I just want to share that with you. We've come a long way since 2018. Okay, Steve Shea the next day sent this. My son killed 100. Listen, that's two bucks coming out of the same area. Steve's son looks a lot like him, doesn't he? We'll get Steve back on and talk about all that. There he is. That's a better picture of it right there. Now he's shooting a regular bow right there. How about that? Nice arrows. They've been biting folks over in Chattahoochee River. Kevin Griggs, a bunch of big catfish too. All right. Andrea, right, this is her son. Andrea was on the show a long time ago. She's a mother now, but she's talking about her sons in class and doing daily update. And the teacher said, I love this in teaching, what are the 3 things you most love about yourself? Number 1, I'm good at hunting, okay? Number 2, I'm good at fishing. And number 3, I'm good at, okay, you can't read that. He wanted to say running dogs, but he said runting, R-U-N-T-I-N-G, runting dogs. So is that not really cool stuff right there? Okay, and that's a good one to end on. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. I want to, first of all, thank, when I was gone last week, Ellen had a good trip. I want to thank Billy Ransom and Walter Woodrick for covering my show for me. They did a good job. I got to watch them on YouTube, and we just, they did really 2 really good shows, and I really appreciate them covering for me. We had gone, I'll share some of this with you. We're taking off, we actually ended up in northwest Tennessee, actually an area I've never been to, but it was part of the that group, COPA, the Southeastern Outdoor Press Association. Well, we've been with these folks about 20 years now, and we've had just a bond, and still about 25, 26 of us that still get together once a year. It's actually a reunion now, once a year reunion, because really we're not an active group as far as doing things. We still do things, but we're just not an organization with the advent of so many other electronic devices and all. The art writing for newspapers and magazines is not that much demand, but man, there's some great folks in it. So it is a joy each year to be with them, and we've sort of dissolved the organizational chart, and they were gracious enough. I'll tell you what kind of people they are. They voted to send me $5,000 to outdoor education scholarships, and I have it in the Bay Education Foundation, and that's the kind of people they are. They just love helping people, especially young people like we do. So anyway, we get with them once a year at different places in the Southeast, always some outdoor place, and Lisa Snuggs, she sets it up, and we were at a Reelfoot Lake, and Reelfoot Lake was formed in 1812 by the earthquake, and Mississippi River flowed north into the hole there and made the lake. I mean, who knew all that history? I may have learned it a long time ago, I'd forgotten it, but what a unique place and cool place. But on the way up there, by the way, on the way up there, we drove 5 hours, rested, spent the night, then broke the trip in half. On the way back Friday, folks, it took us 11 hours to get home, but it was a long trip, but it was well worth it. But I want to show you, we went to this place 3 or 4 years ago when Wendy and Walter lived up there, and I swung by out of my way to go to this place, and it was a Monday, and this place was closed. This was in southwest Tennessee, about 5 miles north of the Mississippi state line, and it's called here it is right here, the National Bird Dog Museum and the Field Trial Hall of Fame. I'd heard about it before. I've always wanted to go by there. It's our second attempt, and we hit a jackpot. It was on a Tuesday. They were just opened up, and the young man there were just great. And I went by this guy right here, Bill Perry. He's from Lynn Haven. He's in the Hall of Fame up there. I want to go by and see him. And this is a story, and we're going to just have it's just a cool place. Here's a display with Bill Perry and the dogs, and we're going to have this video coming up. We'll have this video coming up maybe 2 or 3 days. The girl's working on editing it, but we ended up spending hours there at the Bird Dog Museum and Hall of Fame. It was just had all different kinds. The video was great, and I just wanted to. I was on Billy Perry, his son. I coached him. He was my linebacker way back, and he's part of our. He and Laura Perry are part of our Cape Sandblasters group that we see every year. And his daughters, and I had his grandson and his granddaughters in my outdoor class. And so it's really a small world. But Bill Perry and Whitey Urquhart, if y'all I know y'all remember them from back in the day. They were outstanding bird dogs. They've had a passion for it, and they made the Hall of Fame. Okay, let's get some pictures now. Get back. You know, we're talking about how dry it is. It's just super dry. We got a little bit of rain. I noticed. Begging, praying for rain. I don't think I pray for it, but just really wish we get a lot of rain, especially on the food plots up there in the country. And I think we got a little bit the last couple of days. But here, last weekend, Ronnie Stevenson. Ronnie's been on the show before. He does it right now. He spends his whole a lot of time. He's retired. There's a lot of time on his property, and he set this up a couple of years ago. He has this water trough sort of in a low spot here. And when we go through these droughts, which we do every year, he has this big container, and he just drains it in there, and it has 2 or 3, I don't know how many he's got. I know 3 of them. And it goes along and puts water in it for all the game. And because really and truly, so I'm thinking about it, they have trouble finding water this time of year. But now the Choctawhatchee River, the wild hogs, hunting the Choctawhatchee River swamp, and that's just a lot of there they are right here. That's a lot of meat right there. A lot of deer meat, or not deer meat, hog meat. I put this on because this guy reminds me of the picture I first thought was my brother, because that's exactly how he looked. But this was I like to look at something like this because there's a little bit of history. This is Georgia, but anyway, it was a record of 1993, which wasn't that long ago, but what caught my eye was the way he got this deer. Craig had been scouting rubs and scrapes near a thicket before Thanksgiving when he spotted the monster standing in a clear cut 80 yards away, and one shot from 270. And so many times, a big buck and all will do something unpredictable. Here, this guy, the story is this guy's out here, he's sort of getting set up for his Thanksgiving hunt, getting everything set up and scouting and seeing where everything is. And after he looks up, and there's that huge buck, 80 yards away. So when you're out there hunting and walking through the woods, it's just remarkable at so many things you see that's unplanned. We spend all this time getting everything ready for the deer to walk out in front of us where we've got all the food and all, and then all of a sudden they come other places. Okay, I showed this last year. I'm going to show it again this year because Christmas is coming up. Men wrapping gifts. Okay, this is, but we just get in a hurry. It's a family joke with me wrapping. I wrap my gifts, but I'm not really good at it. But if we're going to cook something on the grill, you see how good we can put it together. Now I don't cook that right there, but you get the essence of what they're talking about. We'll get in a hurry sometimes with other things. Pam Kirkland, Stan Kirkland's wife, and her daughter Bethany Ann, and she said when your daughter spots an eagle's nest, of course I grabbed my camera. The beauty wasn't there when I arrived, but she came in with a limb to work into her nest. I understand she has been building for a couple of weeks. Now this is interesting in two more ways than one. Move it over to this picture. That's a great picture. They're building a nest. Here it is, November? And they've started building a nest. This is slow. On the eagle's nest, it is a slow process. It's not like these little bluebirds and all. They can build them in a couple of days. It looks like less than a week. But this takes time because they build such a big nest. So Pam That's a good picture there, and that's interesting stuff. This was interesting. This was coming out of Mississippi State University. I talk about them doing a lot. Monarch butterflies linger on Mississippi's Cat Island instead of migrating to Mexico. They're actually doing a little study, and they're not really sure why they're doing this, but they're just seeing this hanging around. And I don't know if the scientists were working on it and seeing what's going on. My opinion, I'm not a scientist. I'm thinking they're waiting for a big strong wind. So with this front we just had, they might have taken on across the Gulf then. But that's the monarchs. I know you've seen them. They're sort of thinning out now to get on across the Gulf, but how they sort of linger that island rather. They can study that island each year, and usually by this time they're off the island, but from what they're saying, they're sort of lingering around. Who knows? Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game time today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers out of Port St. Joe. Our times today, 4:13 to 6:13 this morning, and this afternoon, 4:38 to 6:38. It's going to be cold and windy, but there's a warming trend. Now, I'll tell you something, if you do surf fishing at all, there's still a little bit of time to squeeze it in. And a lot of times after this stormy weather, got everything churned up, it starts calming down. They really feed a lot. So just be aware of that if you get a chance. We've got some announcements from FWC. Let me see. Before I get, I got two more pictures before we get to that. Okay, right here. Just a good picture of Chipotle River this time of year. A good picture there. That's Brendan McCardle. Good job there. And then David Rich, he brought this. Is good. Attention deer hunters, please place your empty feed bags and 12-pack boxes under your ice box so they do not blow out of the back of your truck. I have seen them already on Highway 71, 22, and 386. So this is so true. Stuff blowing up people out of the back of the trucks. Not just deer hunters, construction guys. I can always tell when they're building a house close to my house or in my neighborhood because I start seeing a lot of trash, and it's usually from that situation. Anyway, jump on what FWC brought up last week's meeting. All right, they've changed it. We've heard they were going to do this, increasing the commercial and recreational minimum size limit from 8 inches to 10 inches on the Gulf Lane snapper, and establish a 20 fish per person recreational bag limit, and that is something they needed to do for a while. So that's good on the 20 per. And then also they brought this up, and if you remember, I had a video they were doing. The group was coming in on the speckled trout management. So they're going to do it. They're still having meetings, and this meeting right here, Wednesday, November 12th, which is tomorrow, they're going to be meeting down at the Franklin County Commission chambers right there. That'd be the FWC. They're doing a workshop on it. Then Thursday, of course, will be in Wakulla County. And we're going on through the state, and there's a very good workshop. In fact, I really enjoyed it. We just didn't have a lot of people there. We were here, 2 months ago, I think? But also going to do a webinar on it. So if you get a chance to go to that in Apalachicola tomorrow, give your 2 cents worth. They'll listen to you. They really. Okay. Another thing they talked about too, be bear wise. Okay, we'll talk about it every year. They're really active in the fall. They're moving around, getting the foods. In fact, right. See that third line from the bottom? An adult bear needs to consume up to 20,000 calories a day during the fall. 20,000 calories. That's a lot of hamburgers right there. So anyway, this is their list of what to do. Basically, number one, never feed or approach bears. Y'all know this stuff. I'm going over. Secure food and garbage. That's a big thing. Number two, remove or secure bird feeders. That's important. I haven't done mine. I don't have any bears in my neighborhood. Number four, don't leave your pet food outdoors because they're going to come to it. And number five, clean and store the grill. Really, you should clean it out after every time you cook, after everything cools down and all. But degrease those grills and get that smell out of there. They can turn it off. And number six, always, if you see them, let your neighbors know about them. So that's 6 good common sense rules for this time of year. So anyway, it goes on and talks about that. Speaking of history, I'm the Bay County Historical Society, and we're proud members of that. But they do something interesting. This is going to be interesting because 2 things. It's the restaurant families of Bay County, and it's going to be instead of at the library where they run out of room. They've had to turn people away the last couple of meetings because it's been so interesting. It's going to be at Gulf Coast State College. But here's what they're talking about: the restaurant families. And the presentation, the pioneering restaurant, and okay, look at the one on the far left. That's Captain Anderson. Okay, what's that in the center? How about? All right, Angelo's right there, and on the far right, the Four Winds downtown on the marina. They're representatives from those families. Okay, George Bushicus, Nick Petronas, of course Petronas with Captain Anderson, George Bushicus with Angelo's, and Teresa Willis with the Four Winds. And these 3 families, those 3 restaurants have served the area over 200 years of feeding and all. So it's going to be very interesting. And so, and I look at how Captain Anderson's, they've gotten so much fresh seafood from this area, as was the Four Winds. They were getting so much fresh seafood and all. And then the steaks at Angelo's. It's good that we recognize that kind of history. One more quick picture. Okay, I've already shown Tate Sale. This one right here. This was a throwback. We did show number 2000 way back. What was the date on that? Anyway, we had it. That was November 6, 2015. So that was. We just continue to do it. I've run out of time. Got all kinds of stuff. Guest tomorrow. A video on our trip on Wednesday. A big week planned. Y'all do something good for someone else today. Enjoy the outdoors, and let's take care of it. And God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.